Devils, come out! What the hell are you doing, banana hands?
Good news, no exorcisms or banana hands necessary to think like a millionaire. Because after all, and you know this, you are the sum of your thoughts. So why not think rich? I'm John Benson. I'm here to teach you how to do that, and this is Sales Copy Secrets. Welcome back, and this is my video about the 3 key secrets to happy millionaires. The happy millionaire mindset. Not just millionaires, because some of those guys are really unhappy. I'm talking about being happy and being a millionaire at the same time. Now, there are far more tips than just 3 secrets. I'm going to give you 3 of them today. I think you'll find it pretty illuminating. And if you want to be a millionaire, or if you are a millionaire, or if you're just an unhappy millionaire, I think this is really going to be helpful for you. Or if you happen to be a copywriter and you're into copywriting techniques or tips, or you're just an online marketer looking to sell stuff, this also is for you. I want you to do me a favor, watch until the end, because the way that I'm presenting these tips and secrets, they are in order, meaning that you have to use all 3 of them to make this work. I'm going to throw in some surprise tips along the way. There's a lot more than 3, by the way. But if you like this and you like what I'm saying here and you want to hear more of the mindset stuff, leave me a comment below and say, John, please give me more of the mindset stuff, and I'll think about it. Now, before we dive in, let me start by saying this is not psychobabble. You're not going to hear me prattle on like some sort of demented psychiatrist that's going on and on about some psychotherapist kind of psycho. No, none of that stuff. And it's also not woo-woo. This is not new agey stuff. This is pretty practical stuff. I'm not a very woo-woo person. And it's also not about affirmations. Now, affirmations are pretty cool, and I believe that you can probably use those to some degree of success. Some people swear by them, but this has nothing to do with that. And this isn't nearly a comprehensive list. If you want more information like this, like I said earlier, you got to comment below and tell me. First, I want to give you a few reasons why you should listen to me when it comes to the millionaire mindset. First of all, and you think I'm going to say, oh, because I happen to be a quadrillionaire. No, I will get to that in a moment, but it's because I suck at it most of the time. Listen, if you want to get good at something, in my personal opinion, you need to find a mentor or a role model. And the best mentors and role models, again, in my personal opinion, are people who have gone through struggles to get where they are, not people who were born with natural talent. So if I want to say be an artist, Michelangelo probably is not the person I would want to study with, even though I think he was the greatest artist of all time. But he was also a polymath and born with incredible talents that no one probably will ever have again, or at least not for a long time. So probably not someone who could teach you how he came from nothing and struggled and grappled with it and then finally became a great artist. No, you want to learn from people who have struggled with this. And I have definitely struggled with the millionaire mindset, believe you me, big time. Now, I've never struggled with feeling like, oh, I'm not worthy of it, or, afraid of success, things like that. But I've struggled with other things, the 3 things I'm going to be talking about today in particular. So stay tuned for that. Now, I actually got started in my first entrepreneurial business at the age of 12. Okay, don't worry, no one hired me. I hired myself. I started my own business. I chopped down trees, and I feel like I'm going to go into the lumberjack song by Monty Python here. I chopped down trees, and I carried them door to door and sold them in my little red wagon for cash to my next door neighbors. I was doing this in the middle of November, December, January in Texas. It was snowing at the time. So I was dragging this sled through the snow, and the wagon rather through the snow, because we didn't have a sled. So I'm carrying this, firewood and stuff. So pretty manual labor, but we would take our profits and we'd go across the street to the barbecue joint and eat our barbecue sandwiches. Not exactly starting off on the right foot when it came down to investing on money, but I did start out with the entrepreneurial spirit. And that's something that really no one can teach you. I don't think, if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. I think people can awaken it in you. I'm going to try to do that today. But let me tell you this, the words entrepreneurial spirit don't mean anything unless you can leverage the power and the benefits behind that. So I'm not going to talk about the entrepreneurial spirit without giving you some means of acquiring it, or at least bringing it out more. How to upgrade the mental software, if you will. So more on that in a moment. Now, the second reason why I think I'm worth listening to is I have earned over $60 million so far as an entrepreneur and over $1 billion as a copywriter, meaning $1 billion for a copy that I've sold, my customers have sold, my products have sold, not all me, so I'm definitely not a billionaire. But so I've earned that kind of money and I've started with nothing with that. So I didn't start with any sort of, silver spoon or any sort of special talent in the area. In fact, I didn't even know I was going to be a copywriter. And to be absolutely honest, as I always will, I would be far wealthier today if I would have heeded the really wise advice of my father, who never made over $27,000 a year in his entire life. Yet when he passed away, he had left over $500,000 to my mom and to myself. And that was great because that's exactly what we needed to take care of my mom. So how does someone save that kind of money? That's a lot of money for a person that never made over $27,000 to save. It's because he did one thing really, really well. He paid himself first. And I'm going to give you a little bit of financial advice here. Not that I'm an expert by any means, but things I've learned the hard way. If you don't pay yourself first to the tune of at least 10%, preferably 20%, and invest that money, put it away somewhere, you're going to end up like I did, playing catch up. When I turned 50, start playing catch up with investments and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I'm doing okay, but I could be 5 or 10 times wealthier than I am right now if I just would have paid myself first rather than putting all the money into stuff. And by the way, when I mean stuff, for me, it wasn't like cars and houses. I mean, I've never really been that lavish of a guy. It was more or less spending it on business ventures and trying things, but I wasn't investing in things that would always last. So just take that word of advice. And the good thing about this is you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to think perfectly. You don't have to act perfectly. There's plenty of room for error here, but you do need to set your mind in a certain direction. And to go in that direction, the direction of the entrepreneurial spirit, I'm going to give you 3 tips. These are not the 3 tips that I'm talking about. So make this 6 tips. I'm going to give you 3 bonus tips. These are tips that will help kick off or reignite that entrepreneurial spirit in you. Check this out. First of all, you need to find what I call your gigantic why. Now, a lot of people have talked about this. A lot of motivational speakers have talked about it. But your gigantic why is your purpose, the reason why you're doing something. If you say, I'm doing something because I want to be a millionaire, that's not a reason. That's an outcome. That is actually a benefit for what you're doing, if anything else. You need to find a reason that will live past you, that lives beyond you, something that will inspire you more than just stuff. Okay, some reasons that work for me are love. Okay, so I know it sounds really Shakespearean, and that's great because I'm very motivated by Shakespeare, but love is a fantastic motive to do something, whether that's love of a woman or a love of a passion or a love of a charity, whatever it may be. That's a very big reason to do something. Love of family, much bigger than you are, those kind of things. But what is your gigantic why? Figure that out, and that everything else can follow from that. And by the way, for me, my gigantic whys are things I would die for. So I'm going to actually ask you to push a little further than you think you might be comfortable pushing. Go deep. Figure it out, man. Figure out what's really driving you. Tip number 2 is to realize and seize and see the potential that's out there. A lot of people I meet, even at conferences where you would think there would be tons of, people with entrepreneurial mindsets and things of that nature. Sometimes they're self-defeated. They look around, they say, well, I just think I'm too late. I think I'm too old. I think that there's no way I can make it. I can't do this because of this, that, or the other. Look, here's the bottom line. Forbes magazine just published an article, I think it was about 4 or 5 months ago, that was talking about how many millionaires are being made every single day. And 1,700 millionaires are being made every single day without talking about inheritance. So we're talking about people making themselves into millionaires. So that's the potential that you have. There's no reason that you cannot be one of those 1,700. And the third tip is kind of an unusual one, but it's one I really do swear by. Book exact time every single day of the week, or at least 5 days a week. To set aside exact time, meaning every single day from 1 to 2, you work on becoming and thinking like a millionaire. Now that's a weird thing to say, right? It's a weird thing to ask someone to do because most of the time we think of projects and of doing something. There's something tangible there. This is just time for you to contemplate. Maybe it's not an hour, maybe it's 20 minutes, some degree of time for you to write down, visualize, think about what it's going to be like, what it's going to feel like, what you need to do in order to become a millionaire. And the reason I say do it at the same time is this biorhythmic clock that we have. We all have it inside of us. Now, I've applied this to, for example, my fitness goals, and I've done this for years, and especially this last year. I decided to say from 1 to 3 o'clock every single day, 7 days a week, I'm blocking that off for training. For myself, that's bodybuilding, cardio, stuff that I've done for 20 or 30 years. Now, what's interesting about that level of training and that type of scheduling is I never train 7 days a week, ever. I've never done it. So I know for sure that at least 3 of those days, probably 4, are not going to be used. So that buys me 2 extra hours every single day, but I've made the commitment to myself, and my brain knows that that is the slot. And that is the slot that I keep no matter what. Nothing interferes with that. Now, you don't need 2 hours a day to think about this, but you do need to block off that slot to give it some serious thought. Think of this as a project, like the whole thing is a project. Project Millionaire, okay? And this is your time to do the things that are necessary outside of work, outside of the things you normally do to make that happen. Maybe that's read a book. Maybe that's write down your goals. Maybe that's create a vision board. Whatever it is for you, do that, but do it every day at a specific time. Now, those 3 steps I think will really revitalize your entrepreneurial spirit, or maybe awaken it. And maybe you don't even know that you have it. Let me know how you do in the comments, will you? And before I cover the 3 actual tips that you came here for, the mindset tips to become a millionaire, let me ask you a question. Have I earned your like? Have I earned your respect? Or have I earned your endless admiration? If either of those 3 or any of those 3 or all of those 3 are true, let me know below by pulverizing that like button. Smash that bell for notifications so you can be notified when my new videos drop. Leave me a comment, subscribe if you haven't, and let's get on with it. Now, here are the 3 things that I've noticed that millionaires that are entrepreneurs do religiously. And I call these mindset practices because these are things that you actually physically do. They're not just mental things. You don't just think about this. It's not visualization, like I was saying. It's not affirmation. These are things that you tangibly do that start with this.
Yeah, man, I think Rachel's beautiful because she's got good brains.
Mindset practices are really a way of thinking about and approaching life that extend beyond the mental and into the physical world. Now, here's my first secret. Millionaire entrepreneurs who are happy usually only focus on 1 to 2 tasks a day. There are a lot that are miserable that work 19 hours a day. I used to be one of them for, goodness gracious, 15 years of my life. I will tell you right now, you can become a millionaire that way, and you can definitely become an unhappy one. And a lot of your life will fall apart. My health fell apart. I had a heart attack in my 30s. You don't want this lifestyle, trust me. You want to be happy and wealthy, correct? Right. Now, this is not an every single day rule. I don't think it can because life just gets in the way. I look at this as at least 3-day-a-week rule. I apply 3 days a week. So I don't want to do more than 1 to 2 things at least 3 days a week. And I've made it up to 4 or 5. So that's really good. But the days where I do more than that, I always feel a little bit more drained. So when I'm talking about doing one thing, I'm talking about doing one thing with all out gusto. So it's not just one thing and then you're being lazy. But I'm going to give you some benefits to doing just this one thing or maybe 2 things in a day in a moment. First of all, you need to understand the rule of 1. And the rule of 1 should never be underestimated. What is the rule of 1, John? Well, it is the fact that you can only concentrate on one thing at a time. You can only do one thing at a time, no matter how mentally ambidextrous you might believe that you are, no matter how good at multitasking you may believe that you are, you can only do one thing at a time. Now, knowing this is vital to millionaire entrepreneurs. They will write out on a sheet of paper, or in my case, a Kanban board. You can Google that if you don't know what it is. And they will write out, okay, everything we're going to do here in a week. And then they will partition it out into, I'm going to do this today, do this today, do this tomorrow, etc. And sometimes I'll write things out and I'll have 5 or 6 or 7 things to do. And I'm talking about big tasks. I'm not talking about checking email or sending an invoice or things like that. Those are small tasks. I do all of those during my cardio session in the morning. I'll tell you more about that in a second, so get them out of the way. But the big tasks, okay, not running to the bank, but the big tasks like X, Y, and Z. Let's say that I have 5 big tasks. I will purposely chunk those into 1 to 2 at most in a day. And once I'm done with those, I'm going to do something special. I will tell you about that in a moment. Everything else I put into, let's consider this tomorrow or the next day. And I'm not talking about getting backlogged on a bunch of work. It's that you should not be having to have 4, 5, 6 major tasks in a day. If you are, then you are too stretched. You're not ever going to get into that millionaire mindset groove, and certainly not a happy one, which is what I want you to be. You need to pare down, and you need to do this in a way that's not going to stress you out and make you sick and exhausted and hate your work in the long run, right? Now, I mentioned a morning cardio session. For me, cardio was always the biggest pain in the butt. I love weight training. I love bodybuilding. I love training in the gym. Done that for a long time. Always hated the cardio aspect of it because it takes me away from being connected to my work, to be honest with you. So I decided to get a Cubii, C-U-B-I-I. Check it out. I think it's showing on the screen somewhere. I don't make any money for this unless it's an affiliate link or something. I don't think it will be, but it might be. That'd be kind of cool. But I love these little things. It costs about $400, sits underneath my desk, and I get in an hour of cardio a day while I'm opening email, doing the stuff that's boring, the stuff I have to do anyway. Great way to keep your health and get some cardio in too. So check it out. Now here's the secret to the secret. You have to work your ass off on this very intensely on these 1 to 2 things that you're doing, right? Turn everything else off that you possibly can. Don't be checking Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all that kind of stuff in the background. Isolate yourself if you have to. Just make sure that you're putting all of your energies into these 1 to 2 major things that will move your lifestyle and your income forward in the largest ways possible. So you're saying, John, what happens when I finish my 2 tasks? Well, this is the good news. Second secret too. When you get to the finish line, you actually stop. So you stop once you hit your goals for the day. I know it's freaking crazy. So I know this guy that works anywhere from 1 day a year to 11 months a year, depending on how well he does. He sets a financial goal near the end of the year and says, I'm going to achieve X amount of money in the next year. And when he hits that dollar figure, he stops. End of work. From that point on, he doesn't do anything. Now, for me, myself, I would get pretty bored like that because I don't necessarily have a ton of things I want to do outside of the things I'm already passionate about. One of the secrets I'm going to be talking about is the passion that you need to have for this, right? But this guy has a different way of approaching it. It's still a very cool way. Once he hits his dollar figure, he's done. I've got another friend who's my best friend, and he's a day trader, and I've encouraged him to say, hey, make a financial goal, and once you hit it, you stop. You just stop for the day, no matter what it is. So some days you'll work the whole day, some days you'll work 10 minutes. And the days that you work 10 minutes, you get to spend time with your wife, you get to go out and go to the gym, whatever you want to do. I think this is a great way to approach life. And if you can't approach it financially for now, you certainly can approach it with your tasks. Now, if you're like me and you want to work longer, you got your tasks done, you work maybe an hour, you're like, I'm not going to quit already, then here's what I suggest. Spend your free time learning, not working. Now, this is Warren Buffett's 5-hour-a-day secret. He is well known for spending 5 hours a day doing nothing but learning, reading books, studying his craft. Think about how far you could go in your life with that level of commitment to learning. I personally couldn't do 5 hours a day, but you could certainly do an hour, right? In this case, hey, dive into my own products. So check those out. Get into copywriters that you like. Study their craft. Dig deep. It will pay off big time. And not all your free time should be learning and reading and studying and working. You got to have plenty of free time for yourself, for your loved ones, family. Otherwise, Jack becomes a dull boy. And the third secret I've hinted at earlier, if you don't love it, don't do it, no matter what, no matter the money. I know it's trite. I know you've probably heard that before, but it is so true. As a musician, when I was gigging and playing professionally, we had a saying, we move our equipment for money. We get paid to move our equipment in and out of the gig. We play for free. And that's pretty much the truth. If you love music, you play it for free. Most of people do, right? They hardly make any money at it. So what you get paid for is lugging your equipment from one studio or one gig to another. That sucks. But that said, you need to love what you do that much. So much that you would do what you're doing for free if all your bills were paid. Just think about that. Every single millionaire entrepreneur that is happy that I know abides by this rule. And I have one more bonus tip for you. I'm throwing out bonus tips left and right here. This one's going to hurt. This one's going to hurt. Stop treating your body like it's a fucking garbage can. I know it's tough love, folks, but I'm going to be here to give you a little bit of tough love today. Don't treat your body poorly. I know I'm lecturing to myself, at least I was lecturing to myself, 15 years ago when I ate a ton of fast food and ignored my body and paid the ultimate price, nearly came this close to dying. Thank goodness I didn't. And I've changed my entire lifestyle because of that. Please stop doing that. Not only because I don't want you to have a heart attack or die of cancer or something terrible like that, but I also want you to have the energy and the mental clarity to be able to think through the day. I mean, I have the energy of a college student, okay? In my 50s, you can definitely do this. You can definitely increase your energy drastically. You can increase how well your body fights things off drastically. And the more energy you have, the more ability you have to earn money. So I'll give you a couple of quick nutrition tips, but nutrition is always an individualized science. Always get with your doctor about this. For me, however, how I approach it is I start with protein first. I make sure my protein needs are met. And for me, that's much higher than the average person because I do a lot of heavy resistance training. So for me, it's around 180 grams of protein a day. And then I build carbs underneath that and then fats underneath that usually. Sometimes I go zero carb, literally cut carbs completely out, and then my fats go up. But the protein stays consistent. Protein is satiating. Protein feeds the muscles, and I found if I do that, I can pretty much make everything else work. And then for me, I diet super strict 5 days a week and take 2 days a week off unless I'm training for something. Then I take 1 day a week off. That is really a good lifestyle diet, man. You can follow. Now, you can do anything you want. You can be like I am, a carnivore or carnivore-ish. I used to be a full carnivore, by the way. Or you can certainly eat meat. So I eat chicken and fish mostly now, sometimes red meat. Or you can be vegan. It doesn't matter. Just whatever works for you as long as it's healthy. And make sure it's sustainable so you don't feel like you're suffering all the time. But you need to feed your brain in order to even think those happy thoughts, to think those successful thoughts that will lead to you becoming a happy millionaire if you put the work into it. Does that make sense? Cool. Oh gosh, I got one last tip for you. Like, share, sub, and smash that bell for notifications below so you can be notified when my new videos drop. Hope you enjoyed this. I am John Benson, and as always, I'm here to help make you unignorable.